Hello and welcome to Post, the channel where we discuss all things hockey and all teams. Today we're here to talk about the recent free agent signings, re-signing team re-signings, contract extensions, basically just all of the business portion of the past couple of weeks that have taken place, specifically since free agency day. So it's been a week. It's been a week since free agency. That kind of blows my mind. I can't believe it's been that long.
Yeah.
I apologize for the time it's taken to release this video. I've been in the transition of moving from province to province, so this is the first opportunity we've had to discuss this, and I'm really looking forward to it. So there's so many names here that I'm going to split in East and West. Obviously, if you've clicked on this video, you can tell by the title, this is the East. So let's just jump into this because there is a lot of names. And I'm going to try and do this in chronological order as they were signed or extended or whatever.
Okay.
So, number one, Keith Kinkaid. He extended for 2 years at $1.25 million by New Jersey. And I'm going to put the team logo up behind me so you know what team I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. Keith Kinkaid has been, in my opinion, a very good backup for the New Jersey Devils. And I'm definitely okay with this term and this value of contract. I think he's the perfect backup for what New Jersey needs right now. So
yep, I have no difficulty with that.
That's
signing.
a thumbs up. We're not going to spend a lot of time talking about these. Basically, maybe at least a thumbs up or thumbs down.
Sure.
And for the bigger names, of course, we'll discuss it.
There's a couple of stinkers we may spend a little more time on.
Exactly.
Or great picks or great finds.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So Dmitry Orlov, he's 25. He just signed for. He just extended for 6 years and $5.1 million by Washington. This hurts Washington fans a little bit because they let Karl Alzner go, who is a bit similar. Karl Alzner is 28, 3 years older, 5 years, $4.625 million with Montreal. So a lot of the Washington fans thought, well, if you can sign Orlov if you're going to give Orlov 6 years, $5.1 million, why aren't you giving Alzner the same contract?
Yeah.
Alzner is, in their opinion, most people's opinion, the more valuable defenseman.
Oh, I think so. I agree.
I think this is a little rich. I would have liked to see Orlov maybe around 4.5, so about 500,000 there. That's just my opinion. I'm not saying I'm wrong. Mm-hmm. He's 25, so 6 years. So it'll be 31 when the contract's over. I think that's a pretty good time in his career to move on to his next contract, whatever that will be, and with whatever team it'll be. Brian Boyle. So this is a player that we've seen go from Tampa to Toronto, and now to New Jersey. Mm-hmm. He's 32. And his new contract is 2 years and $2.55 million. A big boy, a big center. He's a center, right? Yeah.
Yep, he's a center, and he played 75 games last year. So he's a rugged guy.
Yep.
He's not sitting up in the press box or in the injured list a lot, and he comes to play. And he put up some pretty decent stats, 25 points I think in the last season. So I think that's a pretty reasonable price for a guy that's. I think a pretty solid guy.
No, I think that's a great contract.
Yeah.
I think New Jersey got a bit of a steal there.
Yeah.
And he's a guy with a lot of playoff experience too. So if New Jersey makes it into the playoffs, then he'll be a very valuable asset there.
Yeah, that'll be a thumbs up.
So we've already kind of talked about Karl Alzner, but let's do it again.
Yeah,
so he's 28.
definitely.
His new contract is 5 years, $4.625 million with Montreal. And I don't have all the statistics here, but I know his contract it changes based on the year about how much he's getting paid.
Okay.
It's structured very interestingly.
Okay.
I discussed it a bit on the live stream. So, since we're Canadians fans by number one heart, what's your thoughts on this one?
He's an 82-game guy last year, regular season, so he played in every game. Didn't miss a game.
Yeah, that's awesome.
An Iron Man kind of guy. He has an amazing plus-minus. He's like plus 23 for a D-man. That's pretty good. I think the money's reasonable, too.
I think the money's very reasonable,
Yeah.
and the plus-minus definitely helps when you're playing on a team like Washington with all that firepower.
And he only had 13 points himself. So a lot of that plus 23, is, just being on the ice when good things happen and not being on the ice when bad things happen. So,
absolutely.
I think that's part of it. So I think that's a really good signing.
Yeah, so he'll be, he's 28 for 5 years, so he'll be 33 when the contract is over.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
that's fair.
That's fair, yeah. I like that signing. Okay, so Brian Elliot, signed by Philadelphia. Brian Elliott's 32. He signed for 2 years, $2.75 million. As we all know, unfortunately, Brian Elliott did not work out in Calgary. It sucked to see Brian Elliott go through what he did in the playoffs. He didn't play well. I'm not going to pretend that I feel bad for him. I do in a way, but I don't. He just wasn't good enough for Calgary. I don't think he could have stayed with the team. Calgary didn't want him anyway, so he had to move on. Philadelphia has gone through goaltending issues, I'd say, for the past over 10 years. I don't think Elliot's the answer to the goaltending situation in Philadelphia, but you know what? I could be wrong for sure. So
it's hard to look at that number. Like, he started 49 games in Calgary last year. His numbers weren't that bad, like 2.55, which is a little higher than his lifetime career numbers. So he wasn't, he didn't have a horribly bad season in the regular season. But you're right about the playoffs.
Yeah.
2 years, $5.5 million in total. Is that a backup or is that a starter? Like, it's kind of an odd number for a goalie. If you're going to start him, you want a goalie that's at least $5 million of value. And if you got a backup, you'd only want to pay maybe $1 million or $2 million at the most. So this guy is kind of in the middle. I don't know where they're going with him.
That's a good analysis. Yeah. So let's move on to Dan Girardi. He's 33 and he signed by Tampa Bay Lightning. So his new contract is 2 years, $3 million. This is a contract I have an issue with. I think Dan Girardi is a bit overrated, and $3 million is, I would say, twice as much as what I would pay him. I'd probably put him at 1.5, maybe $2 million at the absolute max. He does have a lot of experience, so that's great for the Tampa team, but in my opinion, they overpaid for Dan Girardi.
Yeah, he played about 75% of the games with the team last year in the regular season. He only put up 14 or 15 points. That's a lot of money for, he's a defenseman, so you don't expect defensemen to have, really crazy numbers unless they're Erik Karlsson or something. But still, his plus minus wasn't bad. He's not a risk.
Yeah.
But that's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. Justin Williams, Mr. Game 7. He's 35. His new contract is 2 years, $4.5 million with the Carolina Hurricanes. He's going back home, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
This guy has been in a lot of places. He was in LA, he was in Washington last year. He's going back to Carolina. 4.5 still seems a little much for me. I could see maybe 3, but I think Carolina's taken just a bit of a risk there. I would have liked to see a 1-year contract to see how it worked out. But you know what? Carolina does have a young team. Justin Williams is going to provide a lot of insight and veteran presence to the team to help manage the younger guys. And
a lot of leadership. And his Stanley Cup ring from 2006 was with Carolina.
Yes.
I remember that series very well. He's the guy who, with a high stick, almost blinded Saku Koivu in that eye. Took him out of the series. Carolina went on and recovered from that series that Montreal, I think, was leading at 1.2 games to nothing. I'm not bitter. But, Williams has been a very good player, and despite his age, he's in the mid-30s, he still plays a lot of minutes, he plays a lot of games, and he's got decent numbers. I thought it would be a little high based on everything else, but having seen him play over the years, and going back to a team that really was his first real team, for years he played with Carolina, I think this is a good pickup. I think it's good for both sides.
Are you okay with the term? The term and the money?
Yes, I am, only because, when you look at his games played last year was 80. He played 80 games last year. So does he have 70 or 80 games next year and the year after? Probably does. So, yeah, I'm okay.
All right, sounds good.
I'm okay.
Trevor Daley, he's 33, just won a cup with Pittsburgh.
Yep.
He's been signed by Detroit for 3 years, $3.178 million. To me, this is a bit much. I could have seen Trevor Daley maybe in the $2.5 million range, but still a very good pickup for Detroit. 3 years is a little long for me as far as the term. I would have liked to see 2 years. But at the end of the day, I think it's still a pretty good pickup by Detroit. He's going to be a pretty good guy
I think
for that
so.
team.
Yeah, 3 years for a guy who's he's already 33. And he didn't play. He didn't play every game last year. They put him in. I think he played 50 or 60 games last year. His statistical numbers aren't risky, but they're not great either. That's an awful lot of money over a 3-year period.
I think he's had some injury problems as well, but
yeah,
hopefully it works out in Detroit.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. Chad Johnson. He's 31. He's going to Buffalo with a 1-year, $2.5 million contract. Chad Johnson was pretty much the savior of the Calgary team last year at the beginning of the season. Elliot was struggling. Chad Johnson stepped in. He made it happen. He kept the team alive, and Calgary would have made the playoffs. I'll say it. I'll come out and say it. Calgary wouldn't have made the playoffs if Chad Johnson wasn't there at the beginning of the year. So I'm okay with the signing. Again, he's kind of been a career backup his entire career, which sucks, but
yeah,
I think he'll work out okay in Buffalo.
Yeah, $2.5 million is a high end for a backup, but it's in the range. It's in the range of possible.
Yep.
So there's a better backup goalie signing down the list here that we'll get to, but
Yes.
way better.
Benoit Pouliot, moving on.
Yeah.
He's 30. Signed by Buffalo again. 1 year, $1.15 million. I know that you like Benoit Pouliot.
I do,
Pouliot, and I don't.
Yeah, I liked him when he was with Montreal. I didn't, have. I wasn't going to buy a jersey with Benoit Pouliot in the back of the jersey.
Yeah.
But I liked him. I thought he was all right. He's not that old.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's coming cheap, and I think he's not a liability on your team. So I'm okay with that.
I disagree. I think he is a liability, and I would not sign him to any team. I think he's over the hill. I don't think he's valuable to any team. I'm not a fan of Benoit Pouliot.
He's over the hill, and he's younger than you.
Yes, he is actually.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. He doesn't do it for me. Sorry, Buffalo fans. Okay, Antti Niemi, 33, 1 year contract with the Pittsburgh Penguins, $700,000. I think this is a complete steal for the Pittsburgh Penguins. What an unbelievable backup signing.
Yeah.
Antti Niemi has his problems. Mm-hmm. He just does. He's not the goalie he used to be. But if you're paying your backup, an experienced backup like Antti Niemi, who used to be a starter, $700,000 for 1 year, that's an incredible signing. So kudos to steal Justin's word, kudos to the Pittsburgh Penguins for that.
Yeah, all the numbers look bad if you're paying a goalie more than $1 million, but you're paying him only $700,000. I think that's a gift.
Yeah, it is a gift
because he played. Had 30 starts last year. His GAA went up, but he was playing with Dallas.
Yeah,
come on,
Dallas had it.
You got to blame the team for a bit of that problem. So
and he was competing with Lettinen last year. There's a 2 goalie tandem situation there, and there's some mental things that have to happen there. 2 goalies competing against each other. A lot of times that doesn't work. Mm-hmm. Anyways, moving on. Ron Hainsey, 36. He signed a 2-year, $3 million contract per year with Toronto. So Toronto's a young team, and I think this is a great signing because they get Ron Hainsey, an experienced defenseman. He just won the Stanley Cup with the Pittsburgh Penguins. This is going to be great for the young guys in Toronto. What do you think? What are your thoughts?
I think it's a bit pricey.
You think so?
Yeah, I think $3 million a year is a bit much. He's already 36 years old. He's still playing a lot of games though. Like he had 72 games in the regular season last year. His plus minus isn't horrible. He doesn't put out a lot of points. I think if he was still on the Montreal Canadiens, who drafted him way back when, I'd be happy with still having him on the team. But I don't think even if he was with Montreal, I'd want to pay him $3 million a year for the kind of output that he does. So I think he lucked into a good team last year, and I think some of his cachet is probably due to the people that were around him.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, $3 million might be a little bit rich.
Yeah, good for him.
Yeah, good for him. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I got a 2-pager here.
Right on.
All right, Kevin Shattenkirk. Here's a big one. Ooh. Kevin Shattenkirk is 28 years old. He just signed a 4-year, $6.65 million contract with the New York Rangers. I don't know if this is official or not, but I read that he left $10 to $12 million on the table from another team just to play in New York. So he took a discount just to play in the team that he wanted to play in, which is the New York Rangers. So, I mean, that's admirable that he's not all about the money, and he's actually going to a team that he wants to play for. But I still actually think 6.65 is a little too rich for Shattenkirk.
Absolutely.
I would have paid him maybe 4. I think he's a bit overrated. So.
Yep, I do too. He's flashy. He gets the points. He gets the goals, which is great for a D-man that has an offensive defenseman. But his plus minus is actually in the minus zone.
And he has a lot of giveaways as well.
Yeah, like he was on. He has 56 points, but his plus minus is -7. Yeah. So 63 goals were scored, on him when he was playing D.
Exactly. And it's not like he played for bad teams. He played for St. Louis.
Yeah.
And then Washington.
That's almost a goal a game.
Yeah.
I don't like that performance if you drill down into those numbers. And I'm not really a stats beast or anything.
Yeah. Some people will say plus minus means nothing. But
I like it.
I think it's an important stat.
I do. Yeah.
Okay. Moving on. Radim Vrbata. Whatever you say his name. He's 36.
Vrbata.
He's 36. He just signed a 1-year, $2.5 million contract with Florida. I don't like this signing. I think he's overrated. I don't think he's as good as people think he is. I think 2.5 is a little high. I would have liked to see probably 1.5 at 1 year. So I'm thumbs down in this signing.
My list had him at 3.75. So
Is that for the total term? Oh, wait.
it's 1 year. So
1 year. I don't know.
One of us has, maybe it's a Canadian American thing. I don't know. He's a little old, but it's only 1 year. And he's, he played big minutes and big time last year. He's a tough guy, and I think 3.75. I was going to say was high. You obviously think even 2.5 is high.
I think 2.5 is high. Yeah.
And I guess we both agree.
All right.
Yeah.
Moving on. Dominic Moore, the carousel of the NHL. He's played on. I think this is his 12th or 13th team. He's 36. Toronto's just signed him for a 1 year, $1 million contract. Even though he's been around the block, he does have a lot of experience, and
Tremendous.
For $1 million, I'm definitely okay with that signing.
He's a steal.
Yeah.
He played 82 games last season. He had put up 25 points. And he's neutral, in his liability scale.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And $1 million is a deal for him. He's been everywhere. I don't know what it is.
I don't know.
His numbers look great.
Maybe I don't know if he smells or something, and people don't want to.
Maybe there's some bad dressing room karma with him or something,
Yeah.
but I don't see that. I mean, he seems to be a decent guy,
Yeah.
so I don't know.
All right. Well.
I'm cool with the signing.
Yeah, me too. Thumbs
I like
up.
it. Good for
All
Toronto.
right, moving on to Chris Kunitz. So Chris Kunitz is 37. He's got 4 Stanley Cups, and he just signed a 1 year, $2 million contract with the Tampa Bay Lightning. So $2 million for a guy that old seems could be a little rich, but there's some others on here that are a little rich as well.
It's not the worst one.
It's not the worst. There's some ones in the West that are pretty crazy.
And he's going from a really good team to a getting really good team.
Yeah.
1 year, it's a bit of an experiment, and I think I think at the end of the year, hopefully we'll look back and say that was a good idea for Tampa to do that, and it was a good deal for him too.
I agree. I'm not a huge fan of Chris Kunitz, but I'm okay with the signing. I like it. I think it's the right term and the right money. Okay, Justin Shultz, he's 27. He just re-signed with Pittsburgh for 3 years, $5.5 million. This seems a bit much to me. I know he had a great year in Pittsburgh, but I just get the feeling like it's a bit too much. I would have liked to see 4 or 4.5 million, maybe for 2 years, just to give a little bit more of experiment in Pittsburgh, and then see what happens after that. But what are your thoughts on this?
I really like the signing.
Yeah?
I really like it. He is, some of these D men have minus ratings. I know we talked about plus minus a minute ago. He's a plus 27. He's a guy that puts out a lot of numbers, and he's not a liability when he's doing his other job, which is defense.
He's a very good
main
player.
job. He's a very good player.
Very good player.
And I think, $16.5 million spread over 3 years, I think that's a very good deal for both sides. So I like it.
All right. All right, here's probably the biggest name on this list from the East, Carey Price. He's 29. He just signed an 8-year, $10.5 million contract with the Montreal Canadiens, which means when he's 37, he's going to be making $10.5 million. Now, in 8 years, the salary cap could go up by $15 million. We don't know.
That's
so
right.
$10.5 million might actually look like a pretty good deal. And even right now, $10.5 million for Carey Price seems okay. I'm okay with this. I would have liked to get him for 9, but
I'm okay with it too.
I actually thought he was going to sign for more. I thought he was going to sign for 12.
When I saw it come out at 10.5, and it's an extension that doesn't kick in until after the coming year, where he's only, I think, 6.5.
Right. Yeah.
I thought it was great. I really did. You can't let him go.
No, you can't. You can't.
He is the face of the franchise. He is, I would say, the best goaltender on the planet. And all you need to do to finish that puzzle is to put some better pieces in front of him. I'm not so convinced they've done that yet, but he's amazing, and he needed to be kept. You just couldn't. If Bergevin let him go, Bergevin would be right behind him.
He'd be toast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, Patrick Marleau, another big name, 37 years old. This one hits a bit close to home because he's one of my favorite players. And he plays for one of my favorite teams, the San Jose Sharks. But that is no longer. He plays for the Toronto Maple Leafs now. And they signed him for 3 years, $6.25 million. So that contract ends when he's 40. I actually don't like this signing at all. $6.25 million is too much in general, not even taking into consideration the term.
Yeah.
I think he's probably worth 4 at the most. Man, 3-year contract at 37, sorry, Toronto, I got to thumbs this one down. I'm not happy with this signing.
If he was 30, with everything else being the same, if he was 30 years old right now, with the kind of career that he's had or would have, I'd be totally fine with it. But 37, I think you and I discussed several days ago that probably Toronto will be in a regretful situation, probably in the third year.
Yeah, I thought that maybe they would have to buy him out.
They may have to. Because
eventually.
he can't keep that performance up through these last phases of his career. I think, I have in my notes here, overpaid bigly.
Bigly.
It's not a word, but...
Well, I think, like, just in general, Patrick Marleau does fit with the Toronto Maple Leafs. I think he's actually going to do pretty well. But contract situation, thumbs down.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to Evgeny Kuznetsov, Mr. Birdman. He's 25, and he just signed for 8 years, $7.8 million by the Washington Capitals. What's your thoughts on this one?
I like it. It's just under $8 million a year. He's only 25. He's got great performance. He's staying with the team that he's been with. He's maybe the next face of the franchise. I don't know, but I like the signing. I think it's a good deal for both sides.
I'm okay with it too. I think it's maybe a little bit rich right now, but probably in about 5 years, I think this is going to look pretty good on paper.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to Ales Hemsky, 33, just signed a 1-year deal for $1 million in Montreal. I think this is a steal. Maybe it's a little biased because I am a Canadiens fan, but Hemsky had some injury issues last year and kind of recently in his career. But I think 1 year, $1 million is pretty respectable. It's kind of like that. Who was it? That contract that we done, kind of like a Dominic Moore contract. Like it's a risk, but it's not really. It's only $1 million. It's only 1 year.
Yeah.
Give him a shot, see how it goes. So I'm okay with this.
Yeah, compare that to the Radulov signing. That was a 1 year experiment too. That cost a lot more money and got a lot of results.
Yeah.
But I think this signing is good. He only played 15 games last year, but he got 7 points. So that's almost a point every 2 games. That would be a 40-point pace or 45-point pace. If he can put those kind of numbers up for Montreal
for $1 million,
for $1 million bucks,
I'll take it.
I think it's a good deal.
Absolutely. All right, moving on to Andre Burakovsky. I think he's your favorite player off Washington, if I remember correctly from our other video.
Maybe so. I have to watch the reruns a little more closely. I like the signing. I'm okay with the signing. I wrote, 2 years, $6 million bucks.
So $3 million per year.
$3 million per year. He's only 22. He played 64 games last year and had 35 points, and he's good offensive production and not a liability. So yeah, he's a good young left winger, and I would have done that deal if I was Washington.
I would have done that deal any day of the week. That's a great signing by Washington. David Desharnais, he's 30 years old, little guy, 1 year, $1 million, New York Rangers, another one of those experiment contracts.
Yeah.
I was never really a fan of David Desharnais. He was extremely inconsistent for the Montreal Canadiens, and I was so happy to see him go. So New York, good luck. I hope it works out. If it doesn't, it's not a big deal. It's only 1 year, $1 million.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, if it doesn't work, it's not a big loss.
Yeah.
I hope, for his sake, David Desharnais had challenges all of his career. I don't think he was ever drafted.
Never drafted, no.
And he found his way through the ECHL, the AHL, and finally into the NHL, and actually managed to hang on in the league since he got in.
I wish him luck. He's a very nice guy, and not that I know him, but from all the interviews and stuff I've read about him, he's a very nice guy. I wish him all the luck.
Yeah, but small players in New York, like the Marty St. Louis thing they did a few years back. Here's another small guy going into New York, and I picture New York as like a bigger, heavier team, and I'm not sure how he fits in that mold.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
We'll see.
Okay, third last on the list is Alex Galchenyuk. This was a big signing. 23, 3 years, $4.9 million per year by the Montreal Canadiens. There was a lot of controversy around this because a lot of fans wanted him to leave. Well, what can we get for Alex Galchenyuk? His price tag is high right now. Let's get something in return. And a lot of people wanted to see him stay in Montreal. He's only 23. Why are we talking about trading this guy? Let's give him some more years. Let him mature. Let him grow into his game. I'm on the latter part of that. I think Montreal should have kept him, and I'm glad they did. I think getting rid of him probably would have been a mistake. It still could happen. I don't know if there's any clauses on his contract, but 3 years, $4.9 million for his production seems respectable.
I think it does. I think he's earned at least that consideration for that 3-year period. Last year was a rough year for him. He started off, he had some injuries early on. There was a coaching change halfway through. The coaches both have regarded him differently and had probably different ideas where he belonged. So I think, having a steady hand at the wheel for this coming year under Julien, maybe he'll find his place because, is he a center? Is he a winger? And there's also that thing, you don't see this in the media much, but you see it hinted at. Alex Galchenyuk has a very overbearing, the reputation at least, of having a very overbearing father who is a coach from the stands,
right,
who maybe interferes with his development and maybe prevents him from fully buying into the Montreal system. I don't know if that's even true, but I have read about that in more than one place. And I think that has been some reason for the tension, that they can't seem to get at Alex Galchenyuk himself and connect with him in a way that they do with other players.
I know they want him in the center, and maybe he wants to be in the center, but I actually like him on the wing. Yeah. I think he seems more natural on the wing. He's more productive on the wing. So
offensively, he's great at center, but of course the big responsibility for a centerman is what they can do in the defense. They're the one forward that has to come back and help out, and he's been pathetic there. So we'll see.
Second last on the list is Zach Hyman. Toronto Maple Leafs re-signed him. He's 25, so they re-signed him for 4 years, $2.25 million per year. I love the signing. We saw Hyman play this year,
and he played well.
He played so well.
That game he was great.
I absolutely love the signing. Toronto Maple Leafs fans, if you're watching, you need to be happy about this one. This is a great signing, in my opinion.
Yep, I like it.
Moving on to the last person on this list from the East, Philipp Grubauer, the Washington Capitals backup. He's 25, so the deal is 1 year, $1.5 million. I am 100% okay with this contract. Grubauer is a great goalie. He's a fantastic backup, and $1.5 million for a backup is pretty good in that range where you want for a backup.
Awesome.
So,
and this is not just a backup. This is a backup that they started him 19 times last year. He has a 2.04 goals against average.
He's very good.
He's excellent. He could maybe be a starter elsewhere. And if you're getting him for $1.5 million as a backup, you got a steal.
Absolutely.
Well done.
I'm actually surprised Washington didn't try to get more years out of him.
Yeah.
But maybe that was his decision. Who knows?
Yeah. You wonder at the end of it all, was it him holding back, saying, "No, give me another year, and then I'm going to walk"?
Exactly.
Or was it them saying, "No, we only go," But I wish it. If it were me, I'd be looking for a rate like that. I'd be trying to go multiple years.
Well said.
Because he's great.
All right, well, that wraps it up for the East. We're going to obviously do the West in the next video. Thank you guys very much for watching. Let us know down in the comment section below what contract you think was the worst and what contract you think was the best. If you're new to this channel, hope you hit the subscribe button. If you like this video, hit the like button, and we'll see you in the future. Adios.